In the Ansible for Cisco Network Engineers course, we have seen how to use Ansible ad hoc commands and also Ansible Playbook. Before we move on to more advanced topics in Ansible Playbook, there are a few simple troubleshooting tools that we can use to find and fix Playbook issues. In this section, we look at these simple troubleshooting tools. The first command is to check YAML syntax to make sure that the YAML syntax does not contain any errors, especially the number of spaces and the use of tab instead of the spaces. It's a good idea to check the syntax always before running a playbook. Let's do it. For example, Ansible Playbook backup 1 YAML syntax -check. You see there is no syntax error here. I will edit backup 1 YAML and intentionally create an extra space here. Run syntax check again. It says that there is a syntax error in the line related to variables. So you can correct the error and run the syntax check once again to make sure that there is no syntax error. The second Ansible troubleshooting tool that I would like to introduce is to run Ansible in check mode. In check mode, Ansible runs Playbook but without making any changes on managed nodes. Check mode is just a simulation. It's a great tool for validating configuration of the playbook. To run a playbook in check mode, run Ansible -playbook backup 1 -- It shows that the configuration will be changed after running playbook and the playbook runs successfully. That means there is no error in the configuration and the final configuration will be changed. It can be a good idea to always run the playbook in check mode before final running it to make sure the configuration is correct and also to make sure what changes are being made in the managed node. To see what changes are being made in the managed node, you can use register and debug command, which is our next troubleshooting tool. You can use the register command to save the output of a command or a variable or a task and store it in a variable. Then you can use debug command to print the content of this output variable. This can be seen in a register debug YAML playbook that I have already prepared. In this playbook, I run backup playbook once again with iOS config module, but I register the result of backup command and store it in a result variable and print it in the next task with debug command. So the exact name of the configuration file and the other changes will be shown when we run this playbook. As you see, the exact path and the name of the configuration file is shown here, which save the running config of the CSR2 and also CSR1. Showing and printing the result of one task can be a good idea always to troubleshoot your Ansible playbook. The next Ansible troubleshooting tool is to run Ansible playbook with an increased verbosity level with -v or -verbose. Depending on the number of V from 1V to 4V causes more data to be printed to the Ansible log. In verbose mode, all changes will be shown in JSON format. Per case, you should read debug messages exactly to find error. We can run the playbook with -v or verbose mode. I will run again with 2v. With 3v. I think there was no difference between 2v and 1v. You see any changes here will be shown with the JSON format. Also, there are so many other logs that you can use when there is an error to find the exact error. With 4v, I'm not sure if it shows here an extra information. It seems to be the same information. I'm not sure. Another troubleshooting point that you need to know is the default behavior of Ansible when a task fails while running a playbook. If one task fails, the playbook will stop running and exit, and the other task will not run. However, you can change this situation by setting ignore errors flag to true. It's normal for Ansible Playbook to stop the playbook when a task fails because it wants to be sure that there is no mistake in the configuration and your network or your servers or your services are not disrupted because of wrong configuration. Because of that, when a task fails, Ansible exit and stop running the other tasks. But you can change the default behavior with the ignore errors flag. I have already prepared a playbook called ignore error YAML. In this task, I purposely created an error in a description command. You see, instead of description, instead of N, I use K. And I don't ignore errors. Comment this line. And there's another task here for printing something. So when the first task fails, I expect that the Ansible exits and does not run the second task. Let's check it together. Ansible Playbook, ignore errors. As you can see, the first task is run, but there is an error in running the first task. Ansible exit, and the second task is not run. But I can change the default behavior with the flag ignore errors. To make sure that the next task is executed, I created another task that print a message. Message is previous task run not successfully, but when the result of the previous task fails, this message is printed. The result of previous task is saved or stored in a variable with the name of result using register command. To print a message, when the result fails, I use a condition with when command. We will have a special video to create conditions in Ansible in the next few videos. Let's check it together. I expect that the second task will be run even the first task fails. You see, the first task fails, but ignoring. It shows here ignoring because of ignore flag. But the second task is run and it shows that the previous task run not successfully.